Welcome, the Fantasy Goons podcast. Skip the bull and find out the info you need to win your league with Bobby, Davey, and Brandon.
Ride or die. Goalie, brothers, my guys. Know that we fly, know that they ride or die. I keep Wave on my side. CJ Ack, now I gotta ride or die.
Welcome in to the Fantasy Goons podcast, a member of the Pucks Out family. I'm Brandon. Here's Davey. Still no Bobby. What's up, dude? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah,
Finally feeling way better. I've been out for 2 weeks with the lovely COVID, so it's been miserable.
Glad to have you here, man.
It feels good. It feels good to finally be out of my room.
I can imagine, but I'm sure lots of hockey was to be had on your end.
Yeah, I watched way more hockey than I've watched in the last, since the season started, so that's been good. I had multiple screens going, watching multiple games.
Still can't come through in our league though, bud.
I know. I can't. I can't. I actually won last week, but I need a lot more traction to go here. But
that's really the only league that I'm doing pretty well in. I'm not been hit too hard with postponements, some good drafting. So yeah,
that's
other
what I blame
leagues.
on.
I'm having a rough go of it, but
I'm first place in one league, our high score league. I'm doing fairly well in that, and then I'm not doing awful in our other league.
Right.
I'm about mid the way there, but I feel good about it. I feel like I'm going to be all right moving forward.
Definitely. I'm feeling good about that league too, but we know how I always feel real good all year. And then I get put out in the playoffs. I'm the former Capitals or the former Lightning, bro.
Isn't that how it happens?
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move into some weekly impressions. What do you got for me, Dave?
Yeah, I've got the Toronto Maple Leafs. I love this team. I remember I said a few weeks back, last time I was in here, are they the real deal? I think they are the real deal, and I think they might be one of the better teams in Canada. Obviously, them and the Habs. But they continue to win, and they're winning big. They're putting up a lot of points, a lot of scoring.
Getting scoring from those stars too.
They are exactly.
I think I saw a stat. Austin Matthews last 82 games. Old boy has 58 goals. That's getting it done.
It's exactly what they want from their big guys, And if you pay a bunch of money for these guys and you're not getting any production, that kind of angers you a little bit.
Sure.
But so I like what I'm seeing out of Toronto.
Tavares looking good.
He's looking solid. Their top three, Marner, obviously, Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, and Morgan Riley's actually putting up some decent points.
It's what they've been lacking these past few years. It's what everybody knocks on. Hey, look, you can go out and pay major contract money to players. If they're giving you,
exactly,
giving you this, man.
Exactly, and then you got old tried and true Jason Spezza throwing. He's got 8 points up there. I love it. Obviously, he played for Dallas, and I'm a Stars guy, but that's awesome. Love to see in his age still continuing to play good hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. And he just provides. He's not gonna be lighting up your fantasy stat sheet, but he's gonna provide you what you need for your Stars to do that.
Right.
So I'm in total agreement there. They're looking like the number one team in the Scotia North Division as they're sitting right now.
Yeah.
So, Habs came down to earth a little bit more, but they're just, I don't even know if it's that as much as they're just leaving the stratosphere right now. Mine, I have a couple of Patricks on the old board. Patrik Laine saga. It continues. Problems following him from Canada. It's hard to mess up Ohio even more, but he's found a way. I don't know. He just doesn't. He's not that 200 foot player that Torts likes. So
he's really not, and he's kind of to me, he's the right place, right time kind of hockey player. He's got a heck of a shot, which you can't knock on. That's a great shot. I like him in Columbus. He's not quite. I don't think he's doing exactly what they wanted him to do quite yet. Right. Will he? I think he will. I think we should give him some time. Give him some time to settle in somewhere else. He's in a
sure. He's a young guy, and he already kind of has those issues. And it's the real question. I guess I'm going to pose to you: do you think that Laine's in for them to ship him out, or you think that means Torts is out? Because, I mean, you don't go after a guy that is traditionally not that 200-foot player, which is what Torts requires of you. You know, there's a no question about it. He'll bench anybody and everybody if he doesn't feel you're giving it 100% on each end. And some coaches aren't necessarily like that. You know, you're going to get from Laine what you want from Laine.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have an opinion on that? I mean, I personally think we're seeing the end of Torts.
I think we are as well.
Yeah, I think we're right there on the edge of it.
It just isn't working out, you know. And I think you can't get an elite player like Patrick Laine in there and decide to just get rid of him like that and take a chance over the coach again over a premier talent like Laine. Yeah, you don't do it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's and more of the question of. My question, I guess, is if you were planning on the problem I have with it, I guess, is if you're planning on getting rid of Torts, then why are you shipping out Dubois?
Right.
So maybe it was just we need to lose this contract. We need to get something out of it because there's lots of teams that I think could use that Patrick Laine scoring capability. Oh, yeah. So. But the other Patrick I'm going to bring up is a guy that I just wish each year. I wish him the worst, and it just does not seem to happen. 17 points this season. Patrick Kane. What is he, 90 now? I mean, this guy is still lighting it up, man. He's averaging like 2 points a game over the past 5 games. It's absurd, man. This guy he continuously falls down fantasy draft boards, and lo and behold, the guy that got him at pick 30 is always the he's always looking good towards the end. Each year it's this is the year that he slows down, and it just doesn't seem like he's going to. So you can go out and get him. I guess I'd put something up for him for sure.
Well, he's a big part of why the Chicago Blackhawks are not completely out of the equation. This is a team that I don't think a whole lot of people had a ton of faith in. I didn't. I didn't have a whole lot of faith going in. They're competing. They're competing with these teams, and I like to see it. I know you don't like to see it, but
the general management does not like to see. I'm sure they're like, "Come on, guy, come on. We're trying to blow it. We got rid of all of our goalies, so we can be bad." Right. But it's the same thing that I said at the beginning of last year before all of the COVID stuff hit. The Blackhawks going into the playoffs were a force and I mean it's because of guys like that winning mentality being there. It's hard to get away from. So you give them a chance in those playoffs, and they came out and they got their chance. So, but yeah, I think that's definitely a couple of interesting notes from the Patricks for sure.
Yeah, I like it.
Who do you got for your stream of the week?
Yeah, so I've got the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm gonna go back to my Toronto Maple Leafs here. 4 games this week, 3 against the last place Senators. I would expect some scoring. Senators goalies, I'll touch on it later, are performing terribly. And I mean, so expect scoring from Toronto. I would. You've got 1 game against the Canadiens. That's going to make for some excellent hockey. Watching those 2 teams is so much fun. They are the real deal in Canada. I love those 2 teams.
Oh, absolutely.
So that should make for fun hockey. When the divisions were named, I said there was going to be a lot of scoring in the Canadian, in the Scotia North, and it's proven to be exactly that. There's a lot of scoring, and I love watching it because if you got players on those teams, you're going to score a lot day in, day out. It's great. We lack goaltending a little bit, but for the most part, we've got a lot of scoring going on up there.
Well, I'll tell you, you had mentioned they're going to be playing the Senators, and as you mentioned, not great goaltending coming from that area. But I will tell you that I'm going to try to sell my services to the Senators because anytime I gambled against them, I have lost. I don't do it like often, obviously, but just I'm going to throw this game in on my parlay or something, and every time. So I think I'm going to be like, hey guys, I'm willing to lose a little money if I can catch a paycheck to do it.
You should.
I have the Florida Panthers for my stream of the week. I'm sure you are. I think I even saw something about. I'm vastly impressed
Me
by
too.
them, man.
Yeah.
They are one of those teams that it wasn't. I mean, you weren't completely down on them. They weren't Detroit. They weren't Ottawa. But, it was a lackluster performance from some of the guys that they've gotten down there. Barkov. I mean, Huberdeau. They are getting guys showing out. I mean, there's lots of options there.
I like that team. I do.
4 games, Tampa Hurricanes, 2 games against Detroit this week. The team, obviously, as I said, is looking great. They're getting scoring from all over the place. Great shot selection. Obviously, I've got to see them whip up on the Preds a couple times, and luckily we pulled one out of a hat. But they have 3 games, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I mean, these guys only have 1 regulation loss right now. So
crazy.
I mean, it is that's a team that I would be looking at. But those Monday, Wednesday, Friday games, obviously, always great to go with because not a lot of games generally played on those times.
Yeah.
And I think I forgot to mention, but these games are for the 15th to the 21st. So this should release on Monday. But we have some pickups of the week. You got a couple, and I got a couple. So what do you got for me, man?
Yeah, I've got Jack Roslovic. 7.7 games played as of this recording. That's pretty solid. He never got the chance he deserved, I feel like, in Winnipeg, playing, third line. He was typically playing out there. I don't think he ever got his opportunity, but now he plays with Patrick Laine and Cam Atkinson on the first line over there in Columbus, a team that I was pretty high on this year. I expect production based on his line mates alone. I mean, I grabbed him, picked him up. It's been the greatest pickup so far for me for a guy that's only 26% rostered in Yahoo leagues.
Right.
And he has 3 games this week, so it's not quite that 4 mark. But those 3 games that you do have him, expect production. I would at least, and so that's why Roslovic was one of my pickups for the week.
Well, and how early we have to do this anyway.
Yeah.
3 games may not be 3 games. It may be 1 game. 4 games may be 1 game.
Right.
You may get all 3, and he's a good option. I mean, Columbus isn't playing horrible. I mean, they're maintaining. They're doing well. Obviously, as we talked about Laine earlier, getting him into the swing of things. And I mean, he's a 21-year-old kid that, is just lit it up immediately. There's going to be some growing pains there. But obviously I think that's a great option for a lot of people out there. Goalie, a goalie on the list, which I'm sure a lot of folks either need help with or don't at all need help with.
Right.
Mike Smith back for Edmonton.
Yeah.
Great. Obviously, playing the first game, playing the Senators, so it's not a great gauge of where he's at. But I mean, 27 saves, .964 save percentage, 1 goal against average. I mean, if you need a goalie on the roster, that's a great place to look. He's 24% rostered. It could be a turning point for Edmonton too. I mean, Koskinen has had his bright spots, but it seems he always shines a little better when he's in that backup role.
Right,
some guys are just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, Carter Hutton for the longest time was, this guy needs to be starting somewhere, and then you find out, they're not a starter. They're a great backup goalie that can come in and win a game here and there. So I think Mike Smith could be a good turning point for Edmonton, and they really need it. He has 4 games this week. Obviously, you're probably not going to get all 4 from a goalie, but getting 2 starts if you have a 4-start week and having some goalie issues.
Yeah.
With all the postponed games that are happening in this current week that we're recording, you have to imagine that it's not going to change up too much from week to week unless there's some serious changes. I mean, Scotia North Division up in Canada, they are skating by with really no problem. You got a country that has some massive protocols in place versus 3 other divisions that, don't. The community spread is going to be much worse here in the States just by the nature of the restriction levels.
Yeah.
So goalies are going to be key, especially if you have start requirements. So I picked up Mike Smith in a couple leagues.
I did too.
And the one league that I don't need him. I really want to pick him up in our league, but I'm like, I'm good. Talbot's going to be out, but I got Vasi and Bobrovsky, and I didn't want to use an ad. So
I had to grab him because I've been playing the goalie game. I've kind of been playing musical chairs with goalies for a little bit here for a second. In my one league, it's a very tight league, and there is no goalies available, right? None. So I've been I grabbed Dubnyk for a game, and so I grabbed Smith, and I might hang on to him for a minute here.
I would see, especially with a problem like that where
I lost Mrazek out, so and that hurt me bad because he was a big part of my goaltenders. So
absolutely, and I mean, that's something that you got to do, and sometimes you just got to. At some point, it's just, hey, I just got to get some starts. I don't need major wins. I need a chance to win the save category, and I need a chance. I just need to not lose 5 categories. But I think he's going to be looking okay. I think it's going to be a fine addition that you may not even lose. I mean, Mrazek having surgery. That's tough, man. That's not he may not be back at all, especially in this shortened season. So, what do you have for your second guy?
Yeah, I have Carter Verhag. Florida Panthers, been a good part of that team. Big reason why that team's succeeding the way they are. He's got a great opportunity playing first line with Barkov, who, like you said, is all over the place right now. It seems like every time I'm watching the Panthers, I'm getting a Barkov goal, right, or an assist or something.
He had in that 5-goal game, not a 5-goal game, but he was a part of every single goal against the Predators.
Yeah, I know. It's unreal.
Him and Forsberg just they're like, all right, let's go. It should have just been one-on-one all night.
Should have. So that's been fun to watch a guy like that who everyone's like, who? Carter Verhag, nobody really knows who he is. He's 32% owned. He has 4 games this week, so I expect production. I expect him to keep doing what he's doing. He's 3rd in the team as of recording right now in points. 9 points, solid. I mean, 9 game played. That's pretty good. He's buying Huberdeau, Barkov, and then it's Verhag. That's a pretty good list.
What kind of positional eligibility does he have? Just the left wing, or does he have?
He's both. I think he's got center. I think he does.
So that right there automatically makes him a little bit more valuable.
Yeah.
Just in terms of if you need a guy to fill a spot, well, he can fill multiple spots and you can kind of switch him up. Absolutely. My next guy, just right wing capability, which can be a little heavy depending on your team. It may not be the right ad for you. Jesse Pulley Harvey playing with RNH and McDavid. I mean, enough said. I guess I should continue to talk about it a little bit more, but I mean, even with a Edmonton team that hasn't been playing like they should, McDavid has been lights out still. Yeah. So you always want to get some good opportunities for secondary assists, goals that this guy's setting up for you. I mean, 31% rostered. He has 4 games this week, obviously, just like Mike Smith. I mean, it's something that with all of these spots available, you might need to pull him in. You may be stacked on right wing, but if they're all the games are postponed, that's not very helpful to you. So some off night games, that's somewhere that I would look to go to cover a winger spot for me.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a big fan of picking players that are just getting, and this is obvious, but getting an opportunity to play with big names, and he's getting an opportunity to be surrounded by goal scorers and by elite hockey players, and so. Anytime you're surrounded by elite, usually you can get on that stat category as well. So I think he's an excellent pick.
And I don't know how you feel about this, but I always like bringing in that guy that's on a bigger line, the guy that's playing with Crosby for the week, or the guy that's playing with McKinnon for the week, because his name doesn't force you to I just can't let so and so go.
Right.
Without that name value, it makes him a lot easier for a streaming candidate.
It really
next
does.
Week when you move in and out. I mean, it's always tough when you have that guy that does have the big name, and it's hard to drop PK Subban,
right?
Or, just by the nature of he's a Norris Trophy winner, So I always like having that guy that's the flavor of the week type of deal that you don't feel attached to them. You don't say, okay, well, I'm just going to hold on to RV until he gets back on that. No, it's in and out. You're not playing in there anymore. I'm gonna go on to the next one. So I'm sure you feel similar in that way that it's just tough, man.
I do. I get that same way. The hardest part for me is I sometimes do get attached to these guys that are supposed to be streaming options, and so I'm locked in with a 22% owned guy who I think is going to be a solid asset moving forward.
You're bringing me home, buddy.
I like this is my steal that nobody has, and so I worry sometimes there. Like I got Farabee, I just grabbed him in free agency in one of my leagues, and he's now 60%. I think I grabbed him at like 40% owned, and so now he's catching on and he's scoring, he's continuing to score, and he's one of those guys I'm glad I hung on to. Right. So it's just just like that. I get attached.
Tough. But yeah, you don't know. You don't want to drop that guy that ends up dominating. Right. But, you're as aware as I am. Sometimes you gotta cut ties. You gotta move on, and you can't feel bad about it. I'm with you there for sure. Let's go into our winners and losers, or our tail this week and fade this week. Who are you tailing this week, man?
Yeah, so I've got Florida Panthers out here again. Big Florida Panthers guy. I've been talking about them all this whole show almost essentially. They're playing good hockey in a fairly tough division with a lot of competing teams. And they've competed with the Lightning and the Hurricanes, who to me look like, based on all the games I've watched in this division, are playing better hockey than almost everybody in that division. They're competing with them, and that scares me a little bit in terms of being a fan of these other teams like the Stars. It scares me a little bit, but we're going to see some good hockey with the Battle of the Lightning in Carolina this week. They play the Lightning and Carolina this week, so that'll be fun. They also have 2 games against the Red Wings, so that one is not going to be as good. I hope they can. I expect them to pull those off. I expect to be some points in that one, and also. Again, I'm just going to reference Carter Verhag again. Watch him. He's been solid, and expect him to score some more goals. I've got Florida Panthers as the winners.
You definitely heard his name quite a bit. Yeah. When they were playing the Predators. I'm with you. I think that this is a perfect week for us to kind of find out, are they for real? Yeah. They started a little later, so maybe a little fresher legs than some other team. I think this is a great week to kind of judge where they really are playing. Carolina, playing Tampa, and then this may not seem like the great test for some folks, but playing the worst team in your division twice is good. It really does, because how do you play against teams that are worse than you? Do you go out and you play really well, or do you play down to them? You start playing down to teams, well, if you have a great season and then you get set up with a lower seed to play, if you play down to teams, that's not helpful to win a cup. The team that plays down doesn't win cups. So I love that, and it was going to be my original winners. So you had them. I had to put them in my stream of the week. So
yeah.
But another team that you mentioned that I'm going to be tailing this week, Carolina Hurricanes. They are lighting it up, and it's another one of those situations where the Stars are playing like the Stars they are. 4 games. They have the Blue Jackets, Florida, and then the Blackhawks twice.
Okay.
And the good thing about the Blackhawks is they're not the best team, but it's a team that you have to compete against or you will lose. Monday, Wednesday, Friday games. They're 7-3 right now, looking even great without Mrazek. I don't know if you had the opportunity to go grab Reimer.
I did, one league. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a great pull, and you never really know what you were gonna get.
I hated
that's great.
I hated the back-to-back 5 goals against, but that was tough. But he's still a solid player that you pick up if you can right now.
Absolutely,
because he's their guy right now. So.
I mean, you don't want a guy that takes 5-goal shellacking twice in a row. Then there's very few goalies in this league right now that you can go look to. I mean, every other game I'm seeing, 6 and 7. I mean, the Flyers Caps game this past Sunday. I mean, what? It was like 7. It was like 4-4 in the middle of the second. You know, so I mean, if you're scared away because of some big goal games, I mean, you're not going to find that many places right now. So I think it's a great ad for sure.
Dude, and I'm going to be honest with you. Of all the teams I've watched this season, in my opinion, Carolina Hurricane looks like the best team. Like, in every game I've watched, they are so good. They're fast. They're so tight. They do not let you into the offensive zone at all. Like, I was watching the Stars and Hurricanes back-to-back games, and they kept pinching. They just would not let them into the offensive zone, and Stars had no chance whatsoever. And it was just back. I don't know.
I agree, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it seems like one of those teams that's playing great hockey with so much room to be better. It feels like Toronto is playing their best hockey right now.
Yeah.
Whereas Carolina, I mean, these 3 losses were games that they could have won.
Yeah.
So I mean, they took a loss last night to Columbus, which is not a bad team, but it's a beatable hockey team for sure, and that's going to happen throughout the course of the season. So, I mean, I'm with you. They are looking fantastic. I mean, Hamilton, Aho, Svechnikov, Stahl, they're showing up. I mean, you're glad to see Dougie Hamilton come back.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
After such a bad injury that he took last year. Sometimes it takes guys, a year or so to kind of work back into things, but it doesn't seem like he's missed a stride at all.
Well, Teravainen hasn't really been the Teravainen, but they've got these other guys that are fine, and they're all stepping up.
He's been on and off COVID protocol list. It's one of those things where I actually do have him in our Cats league. It's he's got a name, so I don't want to drop him. It's exactly what we were talking about. That's the one point where they could get him going,
dude.
That could be that could make them even more nasty than they already are. So that's who I'm looking at this week is Carolina.
Good choice.
Moving into our losers, I have a interesting choice for the losers this week. I had the Philadelphia Flyers, not because they're playing bad hockey or anything like that. They only have 2 games. One against the Rangers, who, since all the turmoil, is looking a little better. That was my fade last week, and they're looking not terrible right now. But that game against the Rangers, though, it's on Thursday, which is a super game-heavy night, as is. So not a lot of opportunities to stream them for that night. And then the other game is against the Bruins, which is on a lighter game day on Sunday. But, I mean, they're going to be coming off a tough week this week with all the people on COVID protocols, and Claude Giroux is out right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know if you happen to go grab Scott Lawton anywhere, but he got me a little hattie, so that was nice.
I had the chance and skipped him. I skipped him, and I probably shouldn't have because he's been solid, but no, I didn't grab him.
Yeah, I think I grabbed him in high scoring league where I was down so much anyway, and obviously I didn't win, but now I had Giroux on that team, and he got me 0 points. That league, you get points for like skating correctly and stuff. So like true. 0 points is like amazingly terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, with Couturier and Lawton, I mean, they may not miss a stride. It's not necessarily that I think that they're going to not play well in these 2 games. It's more that 2 games is hard to get through, especially if you're looking to stream somebody in and things of that nature. So I didn't go as right on the nose as you did. With yours, but.
I did, and real quick with the Flyers, a few weeks back, I guess it probably was 3 weeks ago now. I was loving them, and I was about to say, I was like, yeah, they're going to make it way further than the Columbus Blue Jackets and all this, and win our water bet with Bob. But is their style of play sustainable? I don't really know if it is. They don't get a lot of shots on goal, and you need some shots in this league. You need to score. It worries me a little bit, so I don't know if it's sustainable, but we'll see. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean it's a long season. I feel that they're better than they're playing for sure. I mean, they're not completely last on the stat sheet or anything, or on the they're not like last in the division or anything. Right. But it's like you just don't feel like they're
I think it's going to
giving
fall
it
off.
everything.
Yeah,
it absolutely could. I think it's going to go the opposite way, and they're gonna find it, and they're gonna bring it back together. Having Couturier back is a big difference.
It is
on their team. He is he's a leader on that team. Giroux needs to get going, though. He's really, I mean, obviously being the captain and being the true leader of the team, he's got to start showing them something. You know, just as guys. Kevin Hayes, though, is having a fantastic year. So who do you have? Who you fading this week?
Yeah, I went with the obvious this week. This is a team that is just god awful right now. The Ottawa Senators. Absolutely no scoring. I mean, you've got no assets there for you to deploy when it comes to fantasy, really at all. As of recording this, not one player has 10 points yet. I think they're all tied at 7. That's going to change, obviously, here shortly. But
if they keep playing hockey games, eventually somebody's going to hit 10 points.
Of course, somebody's gonna. But man, every other team's got somebody over 10. And it's just it's crazy. Goaltending has been atrocious. I mean, Matt Murray, poor guy, man. I hate that he's there. It's just. He has no D to help him, no scoring.
I have no sympathy for Matt Murray.
I know.
I hope that there's an Ottawan forest fire and he's captured in it. No, you know what? I want him to keep playing goalie for the Senators. That's worse. That's worse than dying in a forest fire.
Oh man.
You're right. They're bad. And I mean, you get every once in a while when I bet on the other team, obviously, you get bright spots from guys like Shabbat.
Yeah.
You got Tkachuk there. I mean, there's bright spots there, but they are playing bad hockey, and they're getting into that last year Detroit mindset where when it gets bad and you start feeling bad about it getting bad, it just compounds. Then, you can't work through it. And then, by the time that you kind of start to figure some things, you're too deep. You're too deep in the hole. I think that looks like when they're playing, that looks like how they're feeling.
Yeah, another guy I worry about too is Evgeny Dadonov. He plays for him. He's playing second line, moving first every now and again. But
didn't he sign as a free agent though?
Yeah,
I don't feel so bad for the guy that chose to go there.
He did choose it, and it's too bad. But he's a guy who typically is a fairly rosterable fantasy option sometimes, and so now he's not. There's one I grabbed him in one of my leagues because he had a busy week. He was playing a lot of games. Absolutely nothing.
In and out.
It was awful.
You're like, okay,
this
is my fault, everyone. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I hate it. I hate it for the guy, good hockey player. It's too bad. And I don't know how to pronounce. I think it's Stetzel, but I think I heard somebody pronounce it Stetzla the other day or something. Yeah, so
just say it real quick. Nobody's gonna roster this guy.
Stetzla. He's not. Look, he was a guy that I almost grabbed for a couple games because he was playing pretty decent hockey. In like a keeper league or something like that, he might be an option moving forward. Down the line. That's where I could see him being. He's young. He could be the future of that team. So he's just a guy to keep an eye on. Don't say roster him right away, but if you do have a slot and some of these other guys we've named are gone, you might be able to give him a go, depending on who's lined up with that night.
Yeah, that's obviously a great point. That you're playing in a dynasty league, maybe a keeper league. It is time to go look at some of those younger Senator player. I mean, you have to imagine they're not going to be this horrendous for forever.
No,
so, guy may be willing to let go of Thomas Shabbat because he's not really going to provide you a lot. But, he's shown us a lot over the past few years.
Yeah, he's a great hockey player.
He's a great offensive defenseman that has a real shot at a great future. I don't know if I want to go as far as saying potentially a Norris winner. But these days, point scoring is how you win a Norris, and that's definitely in his wheelhouse.
You put him on a different team, man. He's a Norris winner, I think.
Absolutely. So that's something to think about with some of these teams that are not great, or if you're not going to be competing this year in your dynasty league, go make some moves for the future. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I'm out of things, man. Do you have anything you wanted to bring up? You wanted to talk about? You missed last week.
Yeah.
No, I did my best to go over your info, but usually we just hit highlight notes for ourselves and then kind of talk off of those. So.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I felt like you did a really good job, though. I listened to the shows and I
appreciate it. Super short. No one to go back and forth with. So, but hey, I do appreciate it, man. It's obviously great to have you back because That was tough, man. I mean, the fantasy show not as much as the the main show, but I mean, me especially, I feed off of what others are saying and what oh, well, that's a great point. I want to talk about that. Reminds me of this point. So hey, I appreciate it, but we do enjoy having you back. I'm sure the folks at home enjoy it as well. Well, let's get up out of here, man.
This has been the Fantasy Goons podcast, brought to you by Standing Stone Farms. Listen to the boys every week and join in on the conversation on the three majors of social media.